Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Entrepreneur's Guide to Endurance and Planning for the Future. My name is Colin Mahan. I'm the Director of Programs at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the Nasdaq Center is a nonprofit that's building a better path for entrepreneurs worldwide by improving inclusion, access, and knowledge in entrepreneurship. At the center, we celebrate Black entrepreneurs every day, but please joining us in celebrating Black Business Month in August as well. As you may have just seen in the chat, the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center, along with our partner Mentor Cloud, launched a free mentor matching platform for entrepreneurs called Mentor Makers. You can create your own advisory board to guide and inspire you with in-the-moment mentorship from top experts and professionals dedicated to providing exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. Together, we will build the greatest exchange of knowledge and expertise in service to entrepreneurs and business today. So find or become a mentor today by using that link in the chat. Mentorship matters to all entrepreneurs. Their success is dependent on it. Quick housekeeping item, we're going to open up for live Q&A near the end of the event, so please submit those questions for us in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation. We'll try to get to them all. Now, none of what we do here at the center could be possible without all the amazing support from our sponsors, including Nasdaq, Lehigh University, Bank of the West, Airbnb, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Woodruff Sawyer, EPM, and HubSpot. We're grateful and humbled by their contributions. Now, during these still, in so many ways, unique times, we're curious on how sentiment is among the entrepreneurs that we work with. So I'm going to start by just launching a quick poll to let us know, how are you feeling about your business right now? Are you optimistic, in survival mode, feeling a little anxiety, or some of that fear? We use this to inform the wellness that we should be providing for our entrepreneurs. We know it's a lonely journey and we're here for you. So let us know how you're doing. Thank you for your votes. I don't want to waste a moment, so I'm going to end this poll, share these results. Just let us know where we're at. Ooh, looks like anxiety and optimism are almost in a tie, but hopefully the presentation today, which I know is going to be awesome, will help with some of those sentiments. So without any further delay, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our special guest, Matt Doyle, is the founder and CEO of Array. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, how's it going, Colin? Hi, everybody. Hope you're well. Let's hopefully, maybe Colin, maybe we can move some of that anxiety into the optimistic thing right now.
Love it.
I know, like, running a business is like one of the most anxiety-inducing things you can do, but hopefully things like this can help us, right, to build up some tolerance and some positivity about what we're doing.
I love it. Well, I know you're going to do it. So over to you. I'm looking forward to learning more.
Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Hope you like our little fancy setup today. We thought we'd try something a little bit different. Basically your weatherman for today. But we're not going to be covering kind of whether there's a hurricane coming or any sort of heavy weather, but we're going to be looking into entrepreneurship. We're going to be looking at kind of how we endure as entrepreneurs. I mean, that anxiety that we get sometimes comes from the fact whether we can endure what the economy is going to throw at us, or whether we're going to be in our jobs and automated out of everything, that we do. For me, entrepreneurship has been something from a very, very young age. Like, I wasn't super clever or super smart at school. So I almost was like drawn to this excitingness of entrepreneurship and building stuff. So that's what we're going to sort of be covering today, is kind of that journey and the sort of things we can do to be more resilient as founders. And as Colin said, please, any questions you've got, any kind of burning issues about entrepreneurship, about the subject matters that we cover, please put them in the chat or where it is that Colin they need to go, and we'll get those answered. Happy to answer them any way you want. And if you're not an entrepreneur, that's fine. That's fine, because what this subject matter is kind of going to cover is how you can be an intrapreneur, the internal person in an organization doing entrepreneurial things. Maybe starting a business from complete scratch isn't your bag, but adding super loads of value within an organization or a big corporate is. And big companies are now looking for more people to be more entrepreneurial in the organization. And so you might have heard that being referred to as the intrapreneur. And so that's what we wanted to talk about today, is how we can draw out that entrepreneur spirit in all of us. So a little bit about myself. Maybe you can make me mini. How about this? Oh, I'm shrieking. So this is some pictures of like to my life in the last few years, I think. Well, actually starting in that little one of me. So I'm trying to be a weatherman. So I'm trying to point in the right direction here. So here we go. This one here. This is me. I think I'm about 16 there. And that was one of my first businesses I personally did. And I was running live music events. And to me back then, it wasn't really about being an entrepreneur. It was about just creating something. Like I said, I didn't get on too well at school, but when I went on to further education, I was interested in graphic design and UI and just building stuff. So to me, it wasn't really entrepreneurship. And then I've got me pitching there. And I was lucky enough, I met Sir Richard Branson a few times. That's the first time we met at his house there. Then I was lucky enough to work with the guys at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center with the Milestone Makers program. And that's us graduating. Just recently, this was me at South by Southwest when I spoke at South by Southwest about no code. And then it was me and Richard Branson again last month at the Capital Factory in Austin, Texas. So entrepreneurship, I've got a lot to thank for it. It's the journey that it's taken me on, the things it taught me, the experiences I've had. And, like I said, I wasn't a traditional kind of academic kind of guy. So these experiences were awesome for me. So today I run a company called Array, which was the logo on the previous page. And that is like Google Forms on steroids. So we work with big corporates like Walmart and Liberty Mutual and insurance companies for collecting data from the field. So that's what I do now as my day-to-day, and I love it. So entrepreneurship, I've got a lot to thank for that. So at school, one of the reasons I didn't get on all that good actually was I had dyslexia. And so I struggled a lot with kind of, reading and writing and stuff like that. So I was drawn to computers and to graphic design. And that's actually quite common for people who are dyslexic or people who are non-linear in the way that they think. So a lot of dyslexics do go into entrepreneurship, the arts, architecture, and there's a few professions they just sort of tend to gravitate to. And when I say a non-linear thinker, we're all on some form of a spectrum, of like very linear thinking or non-linear, like myself or other dyslexics. But what I mean by that is that we maybe don't approach problems or issues in the same way. We think of workarounds. So all those times I was struggling at school, I was always thinking of ways to not cheat a test, but work around quick hacks that I could think of about solving the problems that I had in front of me. And the other thing about people who are non-linear or creative thinking, we get really excited about projects that we can really get our teeth into, things that get us excited. We're going to work on them much harder. So what the slide is behind me is a guy called Sir Ken Robinson. Thanks for I'm just going to be turned mini whenever I need to be. So I've got my great producer here to help me with that. But anyways, he talks a lot about nonlinear thinking and dyslexics and autism and things like that. But you know what? Like NASA actively looks for dyslexic people. At MIT, you've probably heard of, they actually call dyslexia the MIT disease. So you think, why are these people looking for people who are not academically necessarily excelling the same way? I'm not trying here to focus on specifically whether you're dyslexic or you have ADHD or something like that. I'm just kind of getting at that even these institutions are not looking for the people that are necessarily the most academically smart. They're looking for creative problem solvers. So, the way that learning has changed over the years is that, in the olden days, pre-1760 probably, we would have all kind of gone into probably farming or something of that nature, but we would have all been apprentices. We would have been like, whether we're going into masonry or carpentry or farming, when we had to worry about producing our food, we would all be mentees to somebody, and we probably would have gone through an apprenticeship. So in that time, people who weren't typically academically smart, non-linear thinkers, would have killed it, would have kicked butt. But then what happened is the Industrial Revolution begun. So if I can do my weatherman thing and run the right way. So you can see here, this is like just a depiction of the Industrial Revolution, but I think we're all familiar with the fact that, things were able to become machined and we could create, big looms to create, materials for the very first time at scale, at enterprise scale. And so when this Industrial Revolution happened, we had to train a new workforce into some level of consistency and some level of ability. And really, most jobs up until very recent times have now kind of depended on this same kind of Industrial Revolution style of education. So you just learn in this very particular box. So you can work at a loom, or you can produce coal or whatever it might be. But obviously things have changed. Times have changed now. And now we're seeing this kind of disconnect between the way that we have been taught to learn, the way we've taught to maybe not even solve problems. It's either black or it's white. There's no gray. And that's created this kind of, race to be academic and to be a doctor or whatever. And that's what success of education is. It's to become a doctor or a professor of some kind. But you know what? If that's what you're into, if you want to become a lawyer or a doctor, that's probably a great path for you. But for a lot of us, we want to try to be more creative the way we can, what we can build or how we can add value to a company. So one of the things that my teachers always said to me, and I don't know about you guys as well, was, well, Matt, you're going to have to learn these mental arithmetics because you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. Well, guess what? Joke's on you, Mrs. Brown. From the 1990s when I was at school, I actually do have a calculator in my pocket. But that goes to a lot of different things, right? We're able to use our handsets and our technology to expand maybe the limitations of our brain. And so that maybe started with a calculator. I remember I used to have the little Casio watches that had the calculators in as well. And I don't know if any of you guys had that watch, but you could also change the TV channels on it as well. So we always had that kid in the class that was like changing the TV channels with his watch as well. So I've always been cutting edge technology, but we've got these calculators in our pocket. We've got these encyclopedias in their pockets. Again, when I was a kid, the encyclopedia was on a CD-ROM, and that was fascinating. But obviously now we have Google. We can just Google it. Like if you can't remember something, if you want to learn deeper about something, you can do the research. You can use technology to bridge your knowledge gap and your memory issues. Like, I forget stuff all the time, man. I'm using my Siri all the time to, hey, remind me of this, remind me of that. I'm using my notepads. So we've got more technology to help us with these things. So now the reason to be very, very educated or someone who's good at remembering or can do math in our head is becoming less important than it did. You know what? Like this is some faces and some people you might recognize. These are all, what do they have in common, do you think? Anyone know what in common? I can't hear you, but maybe you can say it into your computer screen. I can hear what you're thinking. All these people are college dropouts, are people who did it a different way. And these guys and gals, well, there's no gals on this particular one, but there's plenty of ladies that did the same sort of thing as these guys. I picked these ones because obviously these are very, very familiar faces that we know. But they're all people who didn't make their way through a normal academic school, didn't go at all, dropped out some of the way, because they were thinking about things in different ways and they were passionate and excited about what it was they were pursuing. And a lot of these characters above, love them, hate them, indifferent, they have become almost like the celebrities and the superheroes that we are kind of familiar with today. I've always been a geek and always thought Richard Branson was a cool dude, but now entrepreneurship has become the cool thing in our culture. And we have that kind of awe of these entrepreneurs and what they're doing. And obviously things like Elon Musk flying to space is pretty cool and pretty exciting and compelling. And so we sort of fall in love, we know society-wise, we've fallen in love with celebrity. And another thing society has seemed to fall in love with was the MCU and superheroes and these people have really captured the imagination again in the populace. And so there's this kind of obsession and this excitement around entrepreneurs and also sort of superheroes, and we're sort of going that way. We're able to become superheroes ourselves, and that's why a lot of people and influencers want to become entrepreneurs. It's kind of become the thing. But the kind of blend between becoming a superhero and an entrepreneur or a human is starting to blend more and more, and that blend of machine intelligence has started to blend with the human. With the human consciousness and the human being. And it started with that calculator and that Casio watch. And it's only going to become more and more blended. So if you guys have a think again, I can't hear you guys right now, but maybe you can put it in the Q&A and tell me what your superpower was and why it would be that superpower. But what would be your superpower if you had one? Would you fly? Would you be invisible? Would you have a super memory to remember things? Would you be elastic? We all know the sort of types of superheroes that exist now. But if you could, augment yourself, or you could have a tablet and turn yourself into a superhero, I wonder what you guys would want to be. So we have access to technological superpowers today. So this is me with one of those Microsoft HoloLenses on, and that's augmented reality. Obviously, with the moves that people like Meta are making now into virtual reality, you know what? I'm pretty excited about augmented reality. So putting something over your eyes to see things you wouldn't have normally seen, or see better, or see, augment your body to do a job in a more exciting, compelling way. Would it be super strength? There's that Matt Damon movie of the exoskeleton, but this science fiction is now science fact. Okay, so these exoskeletons here for extra strength are helping, these workers, these blue-collar workers, not have lower back pain, because the longevity of people in these types of industries can be quite short. Their bodies are quite beaten up at a young age because of the strain they're going under. So this stuff already exists, and you better believe it's going to make its way into the body in not too distant future. We already have a super hearing. If I say it now, I don't know if you guys have got me on loud, but if I say Alexa, does that set everybody's Alexa, play Nirvana? Is that going to set off all of your music devices? But man, how good is that hearing on those things? And I use Siri myself, and they can hear when the music's really loud. So we have that technology to cut through. And again, you better believe it's going to make its way more into the body as well. And we're seeing that happening already with implants. And these physical limitations, we've already talked about the brain limitations currently are in our hand. And these physical limitations are now being extended to our outside of our body, and they'll make it in. So now again, going back to academia or kind of like traditional learning, is that going to be as important when you can kind of do away with these things? And Elon Musk, I did this presentation originally maybe about a year ago. So some of this stuff has kind of like come on a bit further. But so, because I think this article was quite early and I was maybe kind of new to the party hearing about this, but they've gone into actual trials now where we have these brain implants that Elon is part of. And it's about taking that data from the phone or from the computer that you synchronize your life with and bring it directly into your synapses. So guys and gals, it's happening. It's happening. And we've seen, this is stuff you can just decide whether you want to be optimistic about this or it's going to give you more anxiety potentially. And the reason we're covering these things is obviously I want you to think about the products and the services that you're building today and the way we want to see the future, these things are inevitably going to happen. So how are we all working together to actually move these into a direction of a force for good? So we all probably know, again, some of you guys probably know this by now, but Uber is moving more and more, into driverless cars and automation. So the people that were driving those cars obviously won't have that job. Things like intercom, and bot tools on the web are getting more and more sophisticated. So these are things that would typically be done by a support agent or done by a driver. We're being automated out. Tesla and Amazon are now got the drones, so so we won't need drivers as much. So obviously, we all know a lot of this about how technology is moving fast. But hey, guys, this is happening quicker than ever before, and we need to embrace this and move it as entrepreneurs in the right direction. So, what does this all mean? So, as AI, machine learning, automation, whatnot becomes more prevalent in our day-to-day life, right now, I think us tech nerds probably look into it quite a bit. We enjoy it. We kind of think it's quite interesting. But how's it going to play out? So there's a product that IBM made called IBM Watson, and one of the co-creators of it was asked, "Can Watson think?" Okay, so that's an interesting question, and that's come up recently again with some of the chatbots through Google and the controversy around whether the thing is sentient. But can Watson think? And Watson today is one of the most powerful kind of supercomputers we have out there. And the answer that was given was that Watson can think like a submarine can swim. That's a really interesting thing. I just think on that for a second. Watson can think like a submarine can swim. So yes, a submarine can propel itself through water and fast, but does it have the kind of finesse and art and maybe the reactiveness that a human does? And will it ever? And should it ever? Again, AI and things like that are going to get cleverer and cleverer, but it's going to be missing the core element, which is you and me that humanistic things that we do. So for more businesses like your own and companies we're working with, there's these kind of this, I don't know if I came up with this or I found this somewhere, I can't remember, I've been using this for so long, but there's this kind of hierarchy of a data stack that's going to have to exist in every business to leverage AI and predictive stuff better. So you first of all have to sort out the way that your business is collecting data, and then the next stage is organize that better. And so my company Array, we actually do work in that kind of collection, organization, and analytics side of the business, of people's businesses. And there's a lot of companies that still haven't kind of got that data maturity yet, where they can really leverage predictive machine learning and AI. And to do that, you have to get kind of literate in those bottom areas. So as companies, so the bigger companies like the Amazons out there are very, very data literate and are doing these things at every level. But as an entrepreneur, as someone in a business, whether in a mum and pop shop or you're in a big corporate, what are you guys doing to make sure that you have this data literacy, to have this maturity, data maturity in whatever it is you're doing? We do a bit of work with people like Walmart, and be sure those kind of are some of the smartest people out there with the data literacy and how they interact with you. So in your business, these are kind of some of the factors that I would like you to sort of think about as entrepreneurs about what you're doing. Thanks, man. Make me mini again.
You are mini.
Oh, it's as many as I get. Okay, cool. So I'll stand in the middle like this. So we got we've got data. I'm going to be in the best weatherman I can be. So we've got a cloud here, which is representative data. So like, how are you collecting data? How are you normalizing it? How are you moving it forward in your business? So you might not think you're a data business. You might think you're a service business. You might think you're connecting people with people that can walk their dog. But you know what? If you've got your data right, then that opens up the doors for you guys to leverage this AI and this machine learning type stuff. And the same goes to the hardware technology you're using, culturally, how you're using data and how you treat these people. But why I put these things up for is because I just want you to be very clear. So you see, I've got people and I've got culture there as well. And so what I want you to sort of think about is how the humans are injected into your business and how they're used and how they're leveraged to think in a human way, in a non-linear, creative way, but using data, analytics, and automation to build the business of the future, to be resilient as things trample over whatever it is you're working on or whatever it is you're doing. So I'm going to try and play this little video. This is a little video, an example of, you guys might have seen Amazon Go, depending on where you live in the United States. Yeah, you can fade me out. So Amazon Go, I'm going to play the quick video just so we all get a context of it. But only this type of stuff is possible when you've got all of those pillars on that pyramid in order, and the same with the human element. And things can get very exciting about what you can create, what you can do as a business, and how we can do better. There we go. 2 seconds, guys. I'll just get that.
4 years ago, we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome to Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind about that cupcake, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So how does it work? We used computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion, much like you'd find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology. Once you've got everything you want, you can just go. When you leave, our Just Walk Out technology adds up your virtual cart and charges your Amazon account. Your receipt is sent straight to the app, and you can keep going. Amazon Go. No lines, no checkout. No, seriously.
So yeah, thanks for watching that video, everybody. I think it's quite cool, isn't it? It's quite happening in early 2017, and it's continued to roll out. But if you, like I said, if you're making a business for yourself, or you are working in an organization and you're thinking about where the company's going to go, where the future is going to go, to have those things culturally and data and all that kind of stuff. To do something like this, you've got things like IoT happening. You've got account-based stuff, knowing who the person is. Facial recognition. There's a lot of stuff that actually goes into making it so that you can literally go into a place and walk out. And as we all know as well, I think that biometrics are becoming a bigger thing now, and there has been that big announcement of the Amazon kind of palm biometrics happening as well. So what they're trying to do with these kind of things is get to know you better and get to know what you do as a human and try and predict that better. So think about what you guys are up to, what you're doing, and how could you, push into whatever it is your field of excellence is. How could you be doing stuff like this that takes all those things and those components into place? So the big problem that machines have got with this type of stuff, or whether you're putting your palm over something or we're using some biometrics, is a trust thing. I think some of the trust will be weeded out, as in the lack of trust will be weeded out generationally as people do kind of accept certain technologies or the way things are so much. I think that will happen. But as technologists, as entrepreneurs who are maybe leveraging this data, we need to do a few important things. One of the things is that we need to build trust for people. We need to build trust into what it is we do, and transparency. The way people treat their identity and data is changing more and more. So how can we inject trust and transparency and honesty into whatever it is we do, especially when we might be using a lot of data on people, or we're using technology to interface with people? And it's back to where we came from, right? Which is, those entrepreneurs that didn't necessarily have academic smarts, they're the people, but there's these people that, well, some of them definitely did, right? But, they're creating machine learning, they're creating algorithms. But the important thing is the humanistic element. Those people in that list, someone like Richard Branson, they're great leaders as well. They're great communicators. This is stuff that you can't learn. It's something maybe in a schoolhouse, but you can learn by being human, by interacting with people, by being communicative. And then this is what we've got in our human soul. This is what we've got in our being that I want to encourage you guys to maybe use more. It's very easy to do these Zoom calls of each other and have it very siloed. It's easy to send automation through HubSpot. By the way, HubSpot's the sponsor of this, and I love HubSpot as a tool, but it's all about helping us. They should be tools to help us be more human, to help communicate better and create better products. So I'm about to show another video quick, but this is another thing that's coming, and that's deep fakes. Do you want
to? Imagine this for a second. One man with total control of billions of people's stolen data, all their secrets, their lives, their futures. I owe it all to Spectre. Spectre showed me that whoever controls the data controls the future.
Bring it back. That's fun, isn't it? That's a fun video. Well, obviously, some of us may or may not know that wasn't real. That was what's called a deep fake. And we've seen more and more deep fakes coming up. We're seeing AI create art. We're seeing AI create marketing campaigns. We're seeing AI make music. And so is that okay? I mean, maybe it's okay, but it's going to do more of those things for us. So how can we bring trust and transparency and the human nature to people? Because as people lose more and more trust to whether they're seeing something real, whether they're dealing with a human, the AI bots that we chat with are getting more and more real and more human, we could say, right? But how can we instill trust into people that the technology we're using to work with them, the tools we're giving them, have humans behind them? So I'd encourage you, I think we need to put the human soul, more at the forefront to win trust and to earn trust with our customers, our consumers, and the people we work with. And look how we can absolutely use technology and these new advances to make a better experience, and they're coming whether we like it or not. So how can we stand out as entrepreneurs and free thinkers, where we can think about, how we can inject the human spirit into these things more? One of these is going to be true, right? So these are realities. And so at the beginning, I showed you some implant stuff and some things like that, and vision things. And I don't know if many of you people here have seen some of the Black Mirror episodes, and sometimes Black Mirror slices things up as all lovely, and sometimes it's a dystopia. So as this technology evolves and we remove the humans from things, are we going to be coming into a dystopian style lifestyle, or can we create something that's humanistic? So these two characters you might be familiar with. The Terminator was a dystopian Skynet potential of how machines will rule the world, right? And obviously that didn't end well. And so ideally we don't go for that. But you know what? Well, what's Tony Stark is that, that lovable kind of technologist guy. And that's why Elon Musk has been sort of like, likened to him before, but he's still using technology. He's still got the suit, right, to help him be great. But one of the reasons that people were, loved the Tony Stark character was the humor. It was the emotion. And we could debate the MCU universe together for hours, I'm sure. But I would say that, Robert Downey Jr. playing that character has been one of the most loved movie characters almost of all time. We got to know him on a long thing, and he had a very, very good hero's arc and a sacrifice. He had a family, and we really bought into that character, and we bought into that how machines can make us heroes. So I feel like we probably want to be moving more in the direction of an augmented technology kind of way of being, rather than dystopian, just machines. Now, we can be a little bit hyperbolic about this, but I'm sure we'd all prefer to know a bit more about the humans we're working with, the values they stand for, and creative thinking that the humans and we all have within us. I just want to encourage that. So let's put the power of our soul and our heart that all our humans are built with. So when you're pitching your startup, your company, that's why that story that you're telling is so important to your customers and your consumers. People immediately lock in with human storytellers, right? That's one of the powers we have as humans. So back to the start again, when people were doing apprenticeships, it was the relationships and the knowledge that was passed and the stories we could tell to pass on knowledge. So again, we just want to encourage us to think about how we're putting our humanistic face to the front of this. I'm sure not all of you are working in technology. Some of you are doing more physical things. It's maybe a more obvious, an obvious thing that you're doing. But with the nonlinear thinkers out there, we can solve these problems. The world's big problems are being solved by people thinking in non-typical ways and coming up with cool, creative ideas. So leverage that. Don't just rely on your technology the whole time, and put the human first. So guys, let's take a risk. And let's use our hearts, our souls more than we are right now. Let's solve these world problems together, whether it's hunger or space exploration or medical, whatever it might be. Put the human at the front. Use your creative brains to solve these problems and not just rely on technology the whole time. And then we can all be superheroes. Guys, that's me for now. Thank you very much. I'd love to hear as many questions as you guys have pre-prepped, or ones you've come up along the way. We can talk about entrepreneurship. We can talk about free thinking, or we can talk about dyslexia or ADHD, wherever it goes. Colin and the team, I'm happy to take any questions.
Awesome. Well, Matt, that was amazing. And thank you so much for all of that valuable insights and inspiration for everybody on our call. So yeah, as you just mentioned, we're taking live Q&A. So drop those questions for us in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Before we jump into those questions, I'm going to launch one last poll that we use to help understand what the challenges you, our entrepreneurs, are dealing with, in addition to the ones that we're solving, hopefully, today. So let us know: finance, sales, marketing, scale, pivoting, team, or survival. We use this to help inform the classes and courses and trainings that we'll be hosting in the next few months. All right, looks like finance and marketing are kind of at a tie. Thank you all for participating. I'm going to end this so we can jump into some questions for Matt. But it looks like finance is at the lead, but it's a pretty good mix, and there's just some survival mode in there. And back to your point, Matt. Yeah, let's keep it human, folks. So we have some pre-submitted ones, but again, as a founder, Matt can address pretty much anything from scaling team to fundraising to finance. So let us know, what is the latest in animation software?
That's the first question. Okay.
Just dropped in.
Yeah, I mean, there's maybe to unpack that slightly, where they mean kind of like, CGI or something like that. That's the question, is it? Like, what's the latest in computer animation?
Word for word.
Cool.
Well, as they add a little color to that one.
Yeah,
how do you
add some color to that, please, because like we can go a few directions with that.
Yeah.
I've got some good thoughts on that, but yeah, please do.
How do you stay motivated at all times to keep to your business goals? And as a milestone maker, you know this all too well, my friend.
Yeah, the Milestone Maker program is great because what it does is it forces you to pick a goal, something that's maybe, and think about how you're going to achieve it. The way I plan things is that I found that it takes like 2 quarters to really, execute on anything. So I kind of make a plan, and that plan I know is going to take me about 3 months to finalize the plan, execute the plan, and then figure out what wasn't right. Okay, I'm going to do a quick misquote, but roughly, I think it's Albert Einstein that might have said this, and it was basically something like, give me 10 hours to figure out a problem, and I'll spend 9 of them formulating the question. Please go and Google and just get that more of a cleaner quote. But what he's getting at is that making sure you're asking yourself the right question for the thing you're trying to fix and do. So spend the majority of the time making sure the question is right, and not just on the execution. So in my thing, we do that. That's why we've got 3 months to make sure we fully understand the problem and the question we're asking ourselves and the thing we're going to do. And then we execute. And then we've got 3 more months after that to, like a lean startup methodology, to go and take all the learnings from the 3 months and really execute correctly in the next 3 months. And so that's how you can stay. You got the quote. Thank you very much. Bring it up, Jamie. So. Oh, you can't bring it up behind me, but can they see it? No, they can't see it. So the actual quote was, if you had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about the solution. Albert Einstein. That's the quote I was looking for. And so making sure that you are comfortable with the thing that you're doing and that you've planned and executed. Fail to plan, plan to fail. Then that gives you the motivation and the drive to know that you're going in the right direction. You have, as an investor would say, I have conviction. You have conviction in the direction you're going. So that's going to help you. One of the things that for me that gives me anxiety or whatever, and probably a lot of us, is when we don't, and I think this is a stoicism thing, that we don't feel like we're actually making enough progress, or we're not making any progress. Where if you've got a plan and you're sticking to that plan, whether it's going to plan at the moment, you're sticking on it. And you're doing the best thing possible. So I feel like that's what gives me the motivation to keep going. And along the way, if I'm working with actually people I genuinely enjoy, people I like, and we do a few of these little talks where we can talk to each other and vent and have a cathartic exercise, that helps too.
I love that. And so, I mean, at the beginning of this, we measured sentiment, and there are some obvious just anxiety and survival mode right now. There's so much going on in the world. So on the tough days, what helps keep you going, or how do you deal with it when you hit rock bottom?
Let's get deep real quick, Colin. We just got deep real quick. So we just say that again. So on those, can you just ask it one more time so it goes into my head? Because
of course, yeah. Just on the tough days, how do you pick yourself up?
Yeah. Look, there's things I'm not good at that would make things better for me. Exercise has to be one of those. It hasn't been enough in my life recently. I've been traveling a lot as an entrepreneur. I've been on the road pretty much nonstop for a month, but things like that, getting the blood pumping can be good. And meditation, I've always found has been good for me. And again, I've had times where I'm smashing it and I'm meditating every day, and times I'm not. So I find that having rituals like that in your life, and a ritual doesn't mean it's easy. I think people often say form a habit. I think that's rubbish. I think habits often are negative things. Smoking, overeating, we have a habit to go in there. But a ritual is something you have to go out of your way to do. So go, you know what, Matt, shut up, stop, and sit there and meditate for 10, 15 minutes. It's nothing, but how that can realign your brain and your kind of thinking is amazing. Having a notepad, again, I use technology a lot. I love technology to make notes and plans, but I have a pad, I have a pen, and I try and sometimes just sit and stop. Again, that's a ritual. That's hard to do. I'm inclined to keep getting on things and researching things. Sometimes it's good to move away, go into an analog world and make some notes and list those things that you think are big problems for you right now, the sources of anxiety, and see if there's anything you can do to fix them or improve them. So those types of things, there's really important bases you can get. And obviously, there's things out there like, calming teas or CBDs and stuff as well that can just help you turn off for a night, stop work, down tools, have a good night's sleep, and then get the day again.
Awesome. And just, reminding oneself that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And if all you do is sprint, you will fall down and burn out, 1,000-mile journey starts with a single step. But if you just stare at the 1,000 miles, then you ain't going to go anywhere. Let's see.
And I've had I won't name names, but I know some noteworthy entrepreneurs that I'm friendly with who just burn out. It happens at every level, and it don't burn out. Just try and avoid that burnout. I've definitely hit walls and realized, oh crap! I came out in a rash once, and I was, oh wow, okay, that's how it can get. It can get super stressful, and your body can react to those things. So just maybe you feel like you could never actually reach that breaking point. And I was surprised. I remember I got this rash. I was like, wow, okay, stress does have a biological effect eventually. So try and do things that mitigate that.
Love it. We got another question here, and the live questions, we're going to try to get to them all. So drop them in the Q&A and we'll try to get to them all. How do you keep up with your competitors as an entrepreneur, especially in this time and age that everything is moving and changing so quickly?
Yeah, I think not saying that people before us who were building technology and stuff like that had it easier, but there was a bit more of a heavier lift, wasn't there, to probably build stuff in the past or manufacture stuff. And now with things like Alibaba and technologies like React and Webflow, we can produce things and create things quicker and faster than ever before. I think you need to realize two things: who your direct competitors are, and be really honest with yourself. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and mentor them and whatnot. And it is all too often do you hear that we don't have competitors. We all have competitors, but also think about what we're competing with, the alternative. So with Array, we're competing against Excel's as data collection tools, paper and pen, and fillable PDFs. That's kind of what we're trying to replace. But within our space, we have competitors who are doing offline form collection stuff. What you need to do is bring that humanistic thing into it. If you can tell a compelling story about either how your origin story and how you identified that problem, or how you fit and fix a problem uniquely, because maybe it's people that don't do what you do, but people get them confused with what you do. That can happen a lot. So to you don't consider them a competitor or even the tool of choice, but they somehow get mixed in with you. So the clearer you can articulate your story and dig deeper into questioning your clients and interviewing your clients and building for them. We have a saying at Array in our team, which is listen hard, change fast. So that means listening hard means don't just, I want a button here, but what does that really mean to them to have that button there? Break that down and build really what they want. But when you do build it, build fast. And that way you can have the features, the functionalities that competitors don't have, not just because you deployed them faster, but because you've actually fixed the real issue and the real problem. And so as a product guy, I kind of make sure that we are product focused and we talk to our customers, have good relationships. You want to build a relationship with your clients where two things. One, you work with each other. You don't work for them. So that's something, a relationship you can build. Again, humans, right? And the other thing is having that kind of that ongoing relationship that you're improving it with them and they become your advocate. One thing we try and do at Array, and we have been doing, is we try and get people promotions. We try and do such a great job that they become promotions and they advocate and they spread it through the organization. So if you can do those types of things, it doesn't matter if you don't have this XY feature. that your competitor does, or they have more customers, but you've built longer, sticky relationships that reduces your churn and gets more loyal customers.
That's some gold advice, my friend. All right, let's see. Any advice or recommendations? You're the product guy, so I'm looking forward to hearing your answer here. For planning tools or systems, I'm guessing that's on project management and tracking stuff.
Yeah, I have got some opinions on this because you can go all over with project management tools and stuff, and we've tried Basecamp, Monday, Asana, Trello. I could name them all, right? So I tell you what we like and why we like it. One rule we have is how do you minimize your tool sets as best as possible? So and that becomes more of a problem the bigger you get, but it's still a problem when you're a small team. So if you can do something in Google Drive, don't maybe have some documents in Microsoft Word and some things in Drive and some things in Canva and some things. Try and reduce tool sets where you can. Sometimes things like Canva can do it nicer and quicker, so you need to be in Canva, right? But wherever you can, reduce the tool sets. Second of all, sometimes tools being tailor-made for a team are just too beneficial to overlook. So we tried to do everything in Monday. We didn't super prefer Monday, and we moved to Notion. And we felt Notion gave us a lot more flexibility around when something was in transit of becoming something and then turning into a structured thing, like blog posts, planning and ideation and things like that. The dev team were happy to use it, but you know what? As we've grown as a team, the dev team using Asana, where the code can be commented in and jumped to, was something they really needed. So using sort of specialist tools for like the Bitbucket and these tools that link in together can be really, really beneficial. On the product side of things, we use obviously those kind of normal development tools that you probably are familiar with, but we also use the thing design-wise. We use Figma and Sketch to design. We move that into something like Zeppelin for sending over to dev team and making comments on it. And then the developers are developing our React code into something like Storybook. And Storybook, I don't know if you've heard of this, guys and gals, but it helps you organize your React components and catalog them, almost create a design system in which you can use and organize at a later date. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, Colin, or question me more.
No, yeah, I mean, we've gone through the project management stuff through the whole, all the trials and tribulations of thinking about it. And I think it's just whatever works best for you. There are certain things that we use Notion for company-wide tracking. And then also I have a sneaky secret Asana account that I keep myself accountable for my own deadlines on. But
yeah, and also like these project management can live in different places. So like we're a big proponent of HubSpot, and I think you guys, I don't know if you guys do it or HubSpot. It does exist for startups. HubSpot do a 90% discount for startups for a period of time. Might be, I don't know if it's available for the Entrepreneur Center, but there's places out there. If you can prove you're a startup, usually they can get it to you because it can get a bit expensive. But we use that for our knowledge base, live chat, bugs that customers have, and the project management of that, or builds that we're making for people. So some of that project management stuff lives in the CRM when it's appropriate.
We have a 30% discount for HubSpot, and I just dropped that link in the chat for y'all.
There you go.
So yeah, poke around. They have a free CRM, so you don't actually have to pay anything if you don't just want the CRM, or if you want to do.
Yeah, the thing we did on that, Colin, is so we used to use like Intercom. I really love Intercom as a product, and we were using things like Pipedrive and then hooking them together. But in that nature of trying to consolidate tools, we decided for us the best thing was to move into HubSpot, and maybe it was different and maybe some things were better in Intercom, but the consolidation of tools was way more powerful for us and allowed us to sort of keep things in a more succinct way, and we weren't losing connection with tools and stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Ooh, this one's a good one. Thank you, Diana, for this question. How long did you plan / start building your business? And when exactly were you sure that you should launch it?
Yeah. I think I've learned a lot, and I've done a lot of messing up when people couldn't see me as much. And so I think the biggest mistake I made was, not that you asked about my mistake, but I'll tell you, one of my biggest mistakes I made was probably not trying to sell it more aggressively sooner. And I still give people this advice, is like, sell it as soon as you can. It's the thing you're making. And then how you can make this easier for yourself is go through the lean methodology, the lean startup by Eric Ries, and maybe there's a link, someone can put a link of that in Amazon or books or something, is having that in your mind. What is the minimum viable product you can produce and sell? And be really honest with yourself. I know we always want it to, I mean, especially as a product person, as a designer, I always want it to be looking better and being more attractive. We always want it to have all the functionality and features that we envision. But Array, I wouldn't want to build it again, put it that way. And a lot of people don't have as complex tools that we have. And it took a long, long time before we had the feature set that I feel like we should have. And there's still stuff we're working on. But I wish I'd sold it sooner and started getting people in it sooner. But where we are now, we're really happy. People love our feature set. We're in a good spot. But yeah, I think just think of the earliest possibility. The Lean Startup will give you lots of use cases and stories of people that sold things way early. Like they didn't even have a product, they were faking it. And that's fine. Because that proves as a market, it helps you pivot as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and bringing back to your so quotable saying of listen hard and build fast.
Yep.
So you learned a little bit later, but I think we all do.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got a bunch of great questions. Keep them coming in. Have you ever had this is a real one, but totally understand it. Have you ever had to cut off a close friend or family because they're not in alignment with your current path?
So the question was, did we have a friend or a mentor that wasn't aligned with our
where
path?
you wanted to be? Yeah. Did you have to cut them off?
Yeah. Well, well, yeah. I mean, it started from teachers telling me I'd amount to nothing, and then again, like see me and my friends who were non-linear in the way we did things and did our own thing. I didn't go to college myself. I went and just started a business out of school, and we eventually were able to hang out with Richard Branson, right? But so like I think you can't listen to those people obviously, but yeah, my mum for a long time said, Matt, just stop doing this to yourself. Just get a proper job. Just get a proper job. I didn't cut her out of my life, obviously, but I had to sort of like, yeah, you have to be honest with yourself, but you had to believe in what you were doing, and that for me, I just enjoyed working for myself too much, and I enjoyed creating things too much. To me, I would never stop. And for me, it's all about resilience and perseverance. So coming to resilience, like, yeah, the markets and we have anxiety about how the future is going to be. But if you don't overstretch your business on your expenses and stuff like that, you can become a very resilient founder who can make their way through these tough times. And this is where money and opportunity really happens. I've had investors, one investor we were talking to said to me, we don't invest, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but we don't invest in people like you. I was like, oh, okay, what does that mean? And like, well, people who haven't come from an Ivy League school, people who haven't come from a high growth environment have just figured it out. We don't tend to do you. I was like, oh, okay. And I got off the phone, I was like, was that a compliment? I don't know, right? So people will have those opinions of you, whether you like it or not. But actually, some of my current investors, they invested in me because they said, my goodness, you're resilient. And we love that resilience. And that's the kind of people we want to put our money into, is that whatever happens, you're going to figure out a way forward. So you have to surround yourself with good people in your team, and you shouldn't have those types of people in your team if they don't believe in the vision. And as a founder, as a leader, you have to define that for people. And if people don't get it, you maybe need to figure out how to communicate your message better. But yeah, I've had people, pretty much everybody has said to me, just give up, just get a normal job, get more money and whatever. But, for me, like, if you're not living life on the edge, you're taking out too much space.
There you go. Yeah, I think Mario Andretti said, if you feel like you're under control, you're not going fast enough.
Yeah. I thrive on that, like personally, but like if I'm not like, that thing, if you feel like you do homework the night before, that stress is what gets you through. So I like that kind of busyness and that stress and whatever.
Yep. You mentioned team, and I'd love to double click on that one a little bit. How do you attract talent to join an early stage startup that's kind of risky and uncertain? How do you get people in the early days to join your?
Yeah, and it is tough, and again, people being a people person is helpful. Again, we're smashing out the quotes today, Colin. But one of the quotes is I think it's Winston Churchill, and he says the definition of leadership is telling people we're going to go to hell and they look forward to the journey. So sometimes we're asking people to do uncomfortable things and hard things or step out of their comfort zone. And actually, I hadn't done this presentation for a little while. And there's a point I tried to make and I forgot to make it. So thank you for double tapping on that. And what it was that one of the things we do when we hire people is we try and hire people for their passions. Because if you kind of have people who are passionate about what they do and it happens to feed into their job, they're going to work way harder. And people, there's that saying about never working a day in your life if you're doing what you love or whatever. So when we hire people, we'd hire interns who are passionate about the thing they're interning for. That's a telltale sign they care about what they're doing if they're going into an internship. Or we'd find people that were just bloody good at what they did, and you could just tell they loved it. They just friggin' loved it. When we did one of the interns, we interviewed, and then we went on to use them as intern, and then we wanted to hire them. We just told them to do, because it was a video interview, we said, video us and tell us about your passion. And so his passion was Rubik's Cubes. And we were like, dude, that guy's a geek. We need to hire him. Because we thought if someone's loving on that so much and problem solving, the chances are they probably, and he was honest and transparent about what that was. He didn't try and pretend it was directly related to the role. It told us a lot about that person and a lot about their passions. So we try and find people who are passionate about marketing or design or building products or being with people. And as long as you can try and tie it back to their role. So in some cases, people have applied for one type of role and we put them in another role because in our opinion, it better aligned with their passions. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
I love that. Well, we are almost at time, but I want to make sure to give you that gold nugget moment to, if somebody was going to dial into the last 60 seconds of this conversation, Matt, what's one takeaway you want everyone to take away with today?
Okay. Dude, no pressure. I actually see a timer in front of me, how much pressure is to create a gold nugget for you guys, but I'm going to try and form one for you. So I think if we're going to tie it back to the presentation as well, look, times are always difficult. There's never a good time to start a business. There's never a good time to hire people. There's never a good time to jump out of your job or whatever. There's always reasons not to do something. So follow the thing that you make sure you're genuinely passionate about this thing and you're excited about doing it. You're excited about fixing that problem, and try and surround yourself with people who are smarter than you and just as passionate about fixing problems with it. We're in this together. Talk to each other, talk to other founders, turn up at these things. Let's vent. Let's talk about those things that are hard, and let's get through this. And we can talk to smart other investors and founders who have gone through this stuff to make the journey easier. Because although you are very lonely as a founder, and ultimately this is all on your shoulders, by sharing and having these conversations, man, this is selfish. I'm doing this for selfish. This helps me, and to talk to you guys and catch up with you and hear your questions and feel like I can put some of that knowledge across. It helps. Don't feel like you're taking someone's time, because we all enjoy doing this. This is why we want to be founders and business creators, so that we can do this. So talk to people, get out of the office and try and network with people, not to just sell your shit to them, but to get with humans and interact. Get out of your office and try and work with people. So hopefully that helps.
That totally helps. Nailed it. What a gold nugget. Matt, thank you so much for joining us to share some of your experience with our audience today. We really appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you for everybody.
All right. For those of you still on, we'd love to hear your feedback. So fill out that survey that we dropped the link in, and we'd love to build the future programs that you're looking to see. Also, we've got some great events coming up in the next couple of weeks, so hope you can sign up for those if those are of interest. But again, thanks. Shout out to Matt and his great production team. Shout out to our amazing production team. And we hope you all have a great afternoon, weekend, or whatever time it is for you. We look forward to seeing you all online soon. Thanks again.